Hello, welcome to Mont Park Model Railway. This is a video on a problem I've had for quite some time with some specific points on the Mont Park Model Railway. What I found is that there were 2 points on the layout on the main line as it went around, and as the trains went through the switched option of the point, locomotives and random carriages would make a clunking sound as they went through. Now this clunking sound was narrowed down to 2 specific points on the layout. Both of them at the time were Hornby express points, and those 2 points happened to be on a slight incline, and also as the train exited the point on the switch turn, they'd also round a slight curve. The further back the carriage is on a rake, the more that the clunking sound seems to occur. So what I did, I had a closer look at each of the points with my track gauge. So this is a gauge that you can purchase, and it does everything from the track width, wheel spacing, flange spacing, coupler heights if you like. What I found on the Hornby express points, when the point is switched, there is an additional gap that's wider than what the gauge recommends. And as I've highlighted here, if we zoom in, you can see that there's a good 2 millimeters gap between what the spacing should be and when the point's in a switch position. And so that was on a Hornby express point. Now, if we have a look at a Peco equivalent, one of the Peco large radius points, we find that that isn't the case. Peco's points actually maintain the correct spacing even though the point blades are switched. And so just to be sure, before I jumped down that rabbit warren, I also used the point gauge to check my wheel flange spacing, which was useful. And to double check, I also used the DCC Concepts have a back-to-back guide. And so this is a little brass tool that you actually push down between the wheels, and that ensures the back-to-back spacing are correct. However, all my wheels were good, and that didn't improve or exacerbate the situation. So having seen that the Hornby points are maintaining gauge, basically, and then I thought, well, the Peco ones do. Why did I had built my whole layout and originally using Hornby track and points. And as I've gone along, I've found every time I've had a problem, when I've replaced it with a Peco equivalent, invariably those problems go away. And so this is just a quick chart that says this is about the equivalent between an express point and from Hornby and a large radius point from Peco. One of the small differences between the two is one's got an arc of 11 degrees and the other one's got an arc of 12 degrees. And that does become important later on when we go to do the replacement. Now this image is showing the Peco point sitting on top of its equivalent Hornby point, and it shows that the arc angle or the radius of the turnout is slightly different. And then as we start to plan further ahead, we realise that the existing continuing curve track will have to be realigned. As you can see, there's a close-up view showing the differences. Now, when I originally built Mont Park Model Railway, I didn't have any particular track gauges available, So I made my own out of some 3mm MDF. And so I've got this particular curve. I want to maintain what they call a 4th radius curve. And so I've cut that out, and on the inside of that gauge gives me a 4th radius bend. And so as you can see here, there is some realignment required. Anyway, let's get to work. So once I have the old point removed and the new point in place, I use a steel ruler as a straight edge down one side of the point and the straight rail leading up to it to make sure I have a nice straight line. And that way, when I pin them down, I know that I haven't created more other kinks or unnecessarily bends in my track. As I was describing my template for 4th radiuses, I've also got another one that I've previously cut out that does 4th radius on the inside, and so that way I can align it. So in this case, I'm going to use the inside 4th radius guide that I've got to make sure my curve interconnects with that new Peco point exactly in line with its curve. Right, now I've got that first one done, and this is the particular problem I was trying to solve, which is when the point blades are switched to do the turn. I'll run some trains through and see how we go. Well, that was a resounding success. So now I'll move on to putting the through line in as well, which also requires some realignment. Something that I hadn't anticipated when I was starting this, my 2 bits of flexi track, I had to just fiddle around with the sleeper spacings so that way I could, that's why they look like a bit of a zipper as they come in towards the point there. Well, I'll do a quick tidy up and then we'll run some other trains through and see how we go. And I'll take the opportunity to also run a couple of train in the reverse direction through the point, because Mont Park has the ability to also, they probably run in a standard British railways / Australian railways configuration where you run on the left. However, occasionally yet we can run trains in the reverse direction, so I like to make sure all of my track hasn't got any issues that preclude those sorts of operations if I need to. Well, that's that one done. So that's one of 2. The other one's just over the back there in the background. And yeah, I was super impressed. I must say I had an expectation it might improve the situation because I'd found a couple of issues with the Hornby express points, and these Peco ones just was no issue to put it in, and I didn't have to do any tweaking or magic to make it work, and all 3 trains that I've now run through there have all gone through nice and quiet, the normal click-clack you'd expect, but not the clunking that I was getting in there. And now I know I can demonstrate the difference in the Peco points maintaining their rail spacing even while the point blades are switched. Anyway, that's all for now, and I'll catch you later. Bye.